If you have to remove someone from the ballot to win, then you are what they say you are. Pretty decent picture of the first fascist dictator of the 20th century, Benito Mussolini from Italy. They misspelled the word from wrong, and 9 people asked, none of them got it right. So I'm the first one out of 10 to get this right. Hello, I'm Jack Remington, your host of the Jack Remington Political Analyst channel. This is part 1 of 2 parts discussing Nikki Haley, the last opponent facing President Trump for the 2024 nomination for the GOP. There's 3 premises in this part 1 video that needs to be stated first before we get into the deep dive in part 2. And the first premise is practicality. Okay, Donald Trump did the job in 2017 through 2021 in his term. Why does Nikki Haley or anyone else think that she can do a better job than what Trump did? Like him or not, Trump stopped the endless wars, 1.2% inflation for 4 years, stopped North Korea's strongman maniac rocket man Kim Jong-un, kept Putin in check, and stopped the invasion of those caravans of illegals that all outweighed me, better casual clothes than me, and smartphones with his Remain in Mexico policy. Donald Trump got Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador to agree to put Mexican troops at the borders, and Trump refused to pay for it. Obrador paid for that, so Trump did, through the back door, get Mexico to, quote, pay for the wall, end of quote, figuratively. Trump vetoed all those big tax and spending bills, both the Rhino Congress in 2016 and then the Democrat Congress from 2018 threw on his desk. And the Congress overrode the big defense bill after Trump lost the 2020 election. A total of 10 bills he vetoed. That's pretty good for a president that couldn't get much done with everybody fighting him every step of the way. Trump put Europe on notice of not paying their agreed share of defense for NATO, and Trump ruffled a lot of feathers, including Nikki Haley, with his famous quip, quote, "Why do we even need NATO? It's obsolete," end of quote. That sent General Mad Dog Madison to a dizzy. His chief of staff, Kelly, quit after that, and the mainstream media did not let up. Donald Trump appointed more federal judges in his 4 years than the 3 previous POTUSs that had 2 terms, 2 full terms, and working backwards, Obama 2 terms, W. Bush 2 terms, and Clinton 2 terms. Trump had the economy rocking from 2017 to 2020 until his COVID crap hit. The highest labor participation rate since the Department of Labor started keeping records. Donald Trump even beat Ronald Reagan's metrics, to which few thought possible, including me. Remember your chosen one, Barack Obama? Quote, "What does Trump have? A magic wand?" End of quote.
Well, and so what we have to do is to make sure that folks are trained for the jobs that are coming in now, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer. So,
well, he showed Obama up on that and many other things as well. And because Obama could care less about the working class of Americans, but Trump does care, and it showed. We had some roofing done on our house in 2016, and they did great work. Now we need more work because of the hurricane we had last year. Who am I going to call? Am I going to call the lady down the street who ran a small outfit like the state of South Carolina? Or am I going to call back the proven man who has a great body of accomplishments for something much bigger, like the whole country and the whole world? Sure, the guy is crude, he's rude, has an ego the size of the Grand Canyon, but he suffers no freaking fools and is extremely competent despite being a non-politician with no previous experience in any government. Nikki Haley, it turns out, has a ton of experience in government and has run in a lot of races, but it was not as successful in her state of South Carolina as she portrays. To know or not to know is the answer to this premise of practicality. Trump did the tough job as POTUS once before, and I see no one else that can even come close. I'm hoping we can vote for a person that's done the job before, to know or not to know. The second premise is the backdrop. This is my 13th presidential election cycle. Of course, I can't remember Ike Eisenhower, who was the President of the United States when I was born, but I do remember Kennedy and my family was rabid fanatical Democrats all their lives. And if my parents were alive today, my father would acquiesce this one time and vote for Trump to save the country, but my mother and all her 7 sisters, my aunts, would rather burn in Hades than vote for any Republican for any reason. The country be damned. They would just say, then burn the country down. That's how rabid they were for Democrats. And we see that today, don't we? They were taught to hate Republicans for whatever reasons. The backdrop today is that, unlike any other, I can never recall or find any research in any presidential election that the presumptive nominee, such as Trump, would have a, quote, crowded field, end quote, of 13 people that decided to run against him. Just like 2016, Trump bowled them all except one remaining, which is Nikki Haley, but this time without even making one appearance on any debate stage. That says something to me. The only election that I could come up with was the 1976 GOP nomination between Ronald Reagan versus the incumbent president Gerald Ford. Now, Ford took over when Nixon resigned because of Watergate, but a couple years later, when Ford announced his candidacy for the 1976 election, people were going to finally get a chance to vote for him. He got promoted twice, first to vice presidency when Nixon's vice president from Maryland, Spiro T. Agnew, resigned for tax evasion. The only Maryland candidate to ever become vice president or president was Spiro T. Agnew, and he had to resign. The Congress appointed Gerald Ford as the vice president. There was no votes involved, other than from Congress. The people didn't vote for Gerald Ford as vice president. Well, when Tricky Dick Nixon resigned, I think it was August 12th, 1974, I think it was the day. So when Nixon resigned, and Ford was automatically the president, he ascended to the 2 highest positions in the world without a single vote from the public. Isn't that a strange thing? I thought it was very baffling when I was a teenager. I remember that. Gerald Ford caused his own grief by pardoning Richard Nixon way too early. And the public made Ford pay a price later in the 1976 election. That was the rise of an unknown Georgia governor named Jimmy Carter. Nixon was the public enemy number 1 because of the Watergate scandal back in the mid-1970s. And I even turned on Nixon, who I liked and I wanted him to win in 1968, even though he was a Republican. And my mother got very angry with me and scolded me in front of everybody and humiliated me. You must be poor and you must vote Democrat. Republicans are for the rich people and rich is for the rich people. He's from California, a state that I never thought I would ever live in. But here I am. And I believe the press and I believe the mainstream media because that's what they said, and I believed every word they said. I never thought they would lie. I was a kid. But we got grown-ups today that eat up every word from the mainstream media and believe they're lies. And the lies that they knew were lies, they don't care. It's a means to an end, isn't it? I believe what the mainstream media said. They said that Nixon ordered a third-rate burglary at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. Now, during the summer months when school was out of season, I was staying at my grandmother's not far from the Watergate Hotel. Me and my friends, we passed that hotel hundreds of times and had no clue how significant that place would be in affecting American politics. Nixon was facing a sure impeachment, and Congress did draw up those articles of impeachment. Nixon resigns, but Ford, either through intimidation or stupidity, decides not to listen to the GOP consultants and pardons Nixon too soon, which outrages the public. Enter Ronald Reagan, who took this opportunity to upend an incumbent president out of the race, which has never happened in American history. Reagan and Ford went back and forth till Ford narrowly escapes with a win at the end. But he loses the general in 1976 to that unknown Jimmy Carter. And that was a close election, but Carter won the big cities. He won a lot of the blue states we see today. The Democrats don't want to talk about the 1976 election because it was to their benefit, the Electoral College. Virginia stopped counting early. California stopped counting. I mean, a lot of things happened where Ford probably got a lot more votes than Jimmy Carter, the public vote. We'll never know for sure, but Ford called the race very early. He said, okay, I don't think I can win this, and that was that. All other presidential elections never had their incumbent frontrunner challenged like this election, where 13 candidates crawled out of the woodwork to upend Trump here in 2024. The third premise is the most important one to me, and it's the one I'm struggling the most with, and it begins with an L, and that word is loyalty. Okay, Donald Trump first asked Nikki Haley if she wanted to be on his short list of vice president when he was getting his package together in 2015. She said no to the vice president forever. Maybe Trump did not know this part about her, but she also told Mitt Romney back in the 2011 and 2012 presidential cycle that she would never accept a vice president position. She would never be a number 2. So maybe Trump didn't know that. Now we are starting to paint a little bit of a picture of who and what Nikki Haley is really all about. As Donald Trump was trying to hire as many women as possible in his administration in 2016, and was largely successful at it, he chose her to be the ambassador of the United Nations for America. I mean, that's a pretty good job. Now, she doesn't want the vice president job. I understand that. But she got the better job, in my opinion, as the ambassador for the United Nations. One would think that she would show some loyalty, but no. She badmouthed Trump then while she was the ambassador of the United States, and I remember that, and I didn't like her back then. And then she quit that job, and ironically, she quit the job the day after this Christine Blasey Ford levied those false accusations against the Trump nominee for Supreme Court, the frat boy Brett Kavanaugh. Yes, there is some controversy there that is yet to be flushed out, but trust me, I'm looking hard at it. What does that say about the other 12 candidates that did drop out? Well, they are not loyal to me. No, they're not loyal to their party. They're not loyal to their country. They need to be loyal to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump made most of them that came out against him. So, just for example, if Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is a nominee in 2028, I will never vote for him. He lost me forever. Why? Because he was disloyal. He was dishonest, and he stabbed Donald Trump in the back. Donald Trump saved his candidacy for governor for Florida against his advisors who know otherwise about DeSantis, but I must defer to Trump and hope that he had other motives behind the generosity of helping Ron DeSantis. Getting back to Nikki Haley, she changed her stance on January 6th for a third time. Okay, first time, Trump was bad. The second time, she said, well, Trump was not guilty. But now, the most recent third and last time, she said Trump, quote, took America down a dark road and did not protect Vice President Pence, end of quote. She knows that Mike Pence, the vice president, had his own Secret Service detail, armed guys 24/7. Was at the Congress that day before they were to certify the vote. Okay, she knows all that. Shame on her for that one. She needed to come up with a better lie or a better excuse, but she couldn't. And she knows that Donald Trump did not cause this so-called insurrection, that they want to be true. Okay. In part two, I will demonstrate my case that Nikki Haley is only loyal to Nikki Haley, and other acts that she has done that paints a more complete but ugly picture of what she truly is. Always a great day to be an American. Donald Trump in 2024, save this country. God bless America. Thank you.